Okay, so welcome to another homework. In this one, we're going to be looking at what happens to the rocks after they've weathered. You are going to need to be able to describe what happens to weathering rocks. You must be able to recall the definition for erosion. You should be able to predict which particles will be carried the furthest down the river based on size, flow and speed. And you could be able to explain the difference between weathering and erosion. Now, I believe that you've been looking at erosion in geography, so for some of you this might be very easy. Erosion. Erosion involves the weathering away of rocks and soil along the riverbed and banks. Erosion also involves the breaking down of rock particles being carried downstream by the river. Here's the important part. Weathering is the wearing away of rocks. Erosion is the movement of the broken pieces of rock away from the site of the weathering. Erosion. Rocks can be transported by wind, river, gravity, ice and the sea. You need to realise that when the rock is broken up, the smaller the pieces are, the more likely it is that you're going to be able to move them to different places. When they are being transported from one place to another, they knock against each other. And this is the erosion, when they are actually knocking against each other and wearing each other down. Let's take a closer look at that. Here they are, banging, breaking apart. Let's have another look. Okay, let's see what Tim and Moby have to say.
What's that? Ow! Dear Tim and Moby, what's erosion? Does it make a sound? From Minnie P. Funny you should ask, Minnie. We just had kind of a close call with the forces that cause erosion. Erosion happens when running water, wind, waves, or glaciers pick up stuff like dirt and rocks from Earth's surface and move them around. Plant roots hold sand or soil together against the effects of wind and water. When they're not there, erosion goes nuts. Another kind of erosion is weathering or sandblasting. Weathering happens when particles of dirt and sand wear away at rock over time. Water causes erosion too. Rivers, rain, and the ocean carry away soil and wear down surfaces. Erosion creates floodplains, sandbars, and river deltas. Over millions of years, water can make fantastically deep canyons and even change the shapes of continents. Beaches are formed by erosion too. Sand is made by the gradual process of pebbles being broken up into smaller and smaller pieces by the motion of waves. A kind of erosion that may not be as easy to spot is glacial erosion. As glaciers move, they slowly but steadily pick up loose materials from the ground. Pieces of rock caught on the glacier's surface grind mountain walls and valleys. Yep, that's erosion all right. It usually happens much slower, but you've got the basic principle.
Okay, so let's talk that through slowly. Firstly, you have a rock that's been weathered by freeze thaw, onion skinning, whatever. Your rock has been weathered. Your weathered rock then breaks up and the pieces fall. These pieces that have fallen are sharp, but that transportation of that rock being moved has started, so erosion has now started. Those pieces fall, bang against each other and become rounder. This is the erosion happening. So let's see how we've done. You need to describe what happens to a weathering rock. To be able to do this, you must recall the definition of erosion, be able to predict which particles will be carried the furthest down the river based on size and flow speed. You could be able to explain the difference between weathering and erosion. If you can, I'll see you next lesson. If not, why not listen to it again?